the links to John's channel here over at Subscribestar. So Star Wars Soyboy defends a $150 billion company, where his point is, if you criticize Star Wars, you are for the algorithm, I'll have to say, a Euro person who thinks they're Ubermensch. So, or so says this soy boy on Twitter. I'm glad to see the pendulum of all this kind of stuff is finally swinging back pretty firmly, where they've been calling people istaphobes for years, and it's finally losing a lot of its energy, because you look at these people like, you guys literally call everyone that, and you don't have an argument other than that. It's like all you have are this labeling people. First of all these terms, there's really no such thing, because that's not a real organic term. It's a term used by these globalists to manipulate sheep via fear. It's not real because all the definitions are circular and they're never proven. I could just as easily substitute another group in front of that to modify that supreme label. Any other group on Earth, and you'd have a better argument to meet that definition. It's meaningless. It's a way for these cultural Marxist parasites to manipulate people. None of their arguments logically reach their conclusion. They start with a conclusion, and it's never supported. And this original poster here is, you could say, oh, he's a Latin supremacist using his Bolshevik Frankfurt School privilege to oppress and dehumanize a marginalized and disenfranchised minority. Us, the European people, we are the minority. We are the disenfranchised. That is just his Latin privilege and supremacy. I forget his name, Cabrello or something. That's his supremacy, to spread this anti-white racism and hatred. My argument is just as strong as his argument, for whatever it's worth, but our side doesn't control the media, and his side does, so it goes completely unheard. I will say that the new Twitter is changing things a little bit. All of their Saul Alinsky buzzwords are meaningless because they don't apply equally to the systems that perpetuate the people in power, and plot twist, it's not European people controlling those systems. So this guy is mad and defending the $150 billion globalist propaganda machine known as Disney, because that's what it is. It's not an entertainment company anymore. It's not some family-friendly whatever. It's just a propaganda machine, because it allows him to perpetuate his anti-white racism and jealousy. Thing is, speaking in these kind of fruitcake asshole terms, you have to kind of use their terms against them. You can't just say everything they're pushing is ridiculous. Just use their terminology against them, and they go like, and they don't really have a counter argument. They go like, that's not like a thing, or like whatever. You go like, well, I feel it's a thing, and if my emotions are valid, then it's a thing. And it's like, their arguments aren't based on anything concrete. They're just based on circular reasoning and emotional appeals to emotion. It's like, well, then your argument can be the same. If it's proffered without logic and reason, then it can be refuted in the same way. So if you're a normie, it is time to look at your tribe and look at these worms and deeply understand that they are the problem. They've been the problem all along. We are awesome. We're the victims of this hatred and intolerance. Nothing they say makes sense, because they're all mostly midwits, and some actually to the left of the bell curve, but they're simply parodying these Bolshevik professors and media with their anti-white buzzwords. They're so used to their positions of privilege that they don't know how to articulate a coherent argument, because they've never had to defend their views under cross-examination. He's got this long tweet thread, but he never defines his terms, because he doesn't want to define those terms, because once you define them, then you can be nailed down on those terms and then rebutted on them. He calls this stuff ISTAPHOBIC and anti-woman, but what exactly does that mean to him, and what does it mean in this context? Well, he doesn't define it, because it means whatever he wants it to mean. The bigger picture is the concept difference between globalism, which these soy boys are into, and tribalism. We want tribal stories because they're organic. They ring true to us. They want Bolshevik found family Pravda propaganda stories with diversity, but fans of tribal stories think erasing European characters and those sorts of themes is anti-white hatred. So from our perspective, they're the racists and misandrists. Tribalists think diversity is cancer because it doesn't create organic, genuine stories. Why would we value diversity of different tribes? We want to see people with shared blood and values, people who can come together in strength without any weak points. diverse stories are all weak link propaganda that they have to pretend are even stronger. It's like that's not even what the word diversity means. To alter, to make weak, die. The reason the stories suck is all you have to do is turn on the news. What is the current conflict teaching you? That people under stress people are always tribal, but under any outside pressure, tribalism gets extreme. Globalism, and I mean, you can see it in any national emergency. Globalism and diversity is a lie designed to destroy and alter and make weak. Why would we watch this cringe propaganda movies where everyone loves each other? There's no willing suspension of disbelief. The original Star Wars worked because the people all looked like it could be part of a new tribe going forward. It all made sense to us. It subconsciously it fit. In a way that these new movies don't fit. Like you look at these new movies and you just there's no willing suspension of disbelief. It doesn't take you away on a journey because it's just some Hollywood BS. It would be like if some Russians, Polish, and Germans they went off to form a new tribe together, it would work. And after a few generations, they would be something new, but it would be successful. But in modern Star Wars, it's too different. It just looks like some Hollywood casting call where they went down a checklist for black, Arab, Chinese, Spanish, whatever. It looks fake because that's not how people work. And as for the claim about not liking women, in the Mary Sue Purse Puppy characters, where she's like a super space god Jesus type of character who doesn't need any training whatsoever, and the purple haired Holdo chick and Princess Leia. It's just so friggin' ridiculous. Like we get it. You're really into girl power. We're not into girl power. Women do not interest us as soldiers. They're made to be wives and mothers and not put themselves in harm's way. They're almost never leaders. And so when you have a show centered around 3 female leaders, that doesn't make any sense to us because we know that's not the way of the world. We think that's all ridiculous. We have different values from Disney. I should hope so because Disney's all a bunch of, very bad people. We're tribal. We want to see tribal stories, and we particularly don't want to see women put in harm's way. So they label us all these lazy buzzwords because they're soy boys who are the useful idiots of the globalist puppet masters. Cabrera out here is defending the $150 billion Disney, and he really thinks he's doing something. I mean, he's virtue signaling for his small little Twitter channel where he's trying to get a dopamine farm as much as possible. It's like a stunning and brave, buddy. This kind of energy is a couple years old where people look at all this kind of stuff and like, yeah, we're not outraged about Disney Star Wars because we're not fans anymore. We're just not watching it. You guys, it's all up to you. You guys own it. You can do whatever you want with it. And I mean, even the fandom owns it. It's like it's Disney Star Wars is done, and he's talking about the YouTubers who are making fun of it, and it's like, yeah, that's where the entertainment is talking about how crappy all this stuff. And Marvel, anything coming from Disney is just insanely stupid. But very few people are actually going to the theaters. I mean, you see how movies in general have been doing, not just Disney subsidiary movies, but movies across the board. In this genre for superhero action adventure type of genre for sure. I mean, even Indiana Jones bombed from Goldman's insane worldview of telling the story about the Germans for the 3rd time. 3 out of 5 movies were about World War II. You look at Disney, like, you guys have run out of ideas. That idea farm is gone. Anyway, the thing is, attacking the audience and attacking what we're the fans, it's all a moot point. His anti-white hatred won't sell a single Disney ticket. People are done with Star Wars, and they're mostly done with Marvel. If you look at the return on those movies, what the next Star Wars movie does, I think that's with Daisy Ridley. If that bombs, then they're gonna have a come to Jesus moment and go in a different direction. And the next Marvel movie, I don't know what's on the horizon, but the past 4 Marvel movies have lost money. The Blue Beetle and Ant-Man, I don't even remember the rest of them. The Eternals, guys, they're so friggin' forgettable that. Good luck. By all means, Disney, please keep making bomb movies. So what he's trying to do with this stochastic terrorism is to try to destroy YouTube channels like Nerdrotic and Yellow Flash. To Bolsheviks, the idea of anyone criticizing their propaganda is terrifying. That's why they create these labels to control the cattle. Left-wingers can't survive in a free speech environment because they have bad ideas that can't be defended in the open marketplace. Would Star Wars have been better if it looked more like the original? Yeah, to me, it would have honored the artist's original 77 view. The original story had very limited diversity, which is what made the story organic. But to a leftist, they hear that and they lose their minds because to them, every piece of media is a vector to push propaganda. Yeah, stories are narrative. We want national tribal stories. They want globalist cancer. But we are in the right because we can refer to the original storyline. They're wrong because they're departing from the original storyline. Transformative versus curative. Any departure is propaganda to push globalist filth. So this soy boy goes on, but he doesn't actually justify why departing from the original story is justified. He seems to think diversity in and of itself makes it worth it, but I think diversity destroys the story. He thinks he's correct, but I know I'm correct because I can just refer to the original 77th story. If you want to tell a new, diverse cancer story, simply write something new. But they can't because people hate that kind of stuff. So all they can do is IP farm old stories and use the bait and switch method. They use the name recognition to get you to buy the tickets. Then it's all just race swap cancer type of... what was it? A movie, a really good example of that was the Dark Tower movie. You're like, we never saw that. Yeah, I know nobody saw that movie. They tried to compress 7 books into one movie. Good luck with that. And it was horrible, horrible. It's like the main character, not the Man in Black. The main character was kind of a Clint Eastwood character, so they swap him out with some black guy. You're like, that goes against the entire history of the genre of the spaghetti western. Oh, you bigot says what? Oh, okay. Good luck with that. Nobody paid to see that movie. So if they write an original woke SJW diverse story, nobody will buy it. So instead, they take Wheel of Time, Rings of Power, Witcher, Willow, Star Wars, and whatever else, and simply pervert and corrupt it to push this Marxist evil. And it keeps failing because he keeps pointing out that he thinks criticism of globalism is hate, but we view it as hatred for us. We love ourselves and we want to see ourselves in stories. Why would we want to see another tribe in movies? Who cares? Especially if they do mix, then the Euros are always going to be the bad guys. It's always going to be blue and green-eyed people are going to be the fall guys in every single story. Why would we want to see that? We know we're awesome. And maybe to be fair, they should make the non-Europeans the bad guys a few times. Can you do that? Hey, Wonder Woman 84, where you dyed the main antagonist's hair blonde so that you knew the audience could focus their hatred on them because it's acceptable to hate blonde people. Or the guy in the park. The blonde guy in the park was attacking this woman twice. He's in a suit and tie, and he's a blonde guy hanging out in the park. And thank God the black guy came and rescued her. Why don't you switch that up? Just reverse that. Can you do that? Oh, no, because then Twitter would be outraged. Yeah. So, but aren't we also outraged about this kind of anti-white hatred? Oh, yeah, but you guys don't count. How well did that movie do? Didn't do well at all. Anyway, so no, they're not gonna switch that up kind of thing. From their cold dead hands will they make a black guy a bad guy. So Star Wars didn't make the money it should have made. And the streaming shows, I think, have all bombed, as well as Solo actually bombing, which, to be fair, it wasn't even that bad a movie. It was just that the Disney had soured people on Disney Star Wars so much that it bombed. And like I said, the next movie, the Daisy Ridley movie, it's going to be very interesting to see what that does. I'm sure it'll make money. I don't think it'll bomb because people like Daisy Ridley, but it's not going to do a bill. I don't think it's going to be a massive hit. Anyway, so the thing is, Disney Star Wars isn't Star Wars. It's just cultural. Yeah, people just loved you. It's just cultural Bolshevism. What this current cultural environment has taught me is that the non-Euro community are the ones who actually have a problem with racism. Especially problematic is their anti-white racism. Until white lives matter, no lives can matter. You got to speak to them like they speak to you, and you just have to say it sincerely, and they lose their minds. But the thing is, and then they express their hatred towards you and your tribe. But that's kind of part of the thing about probing fire, is you want other people to see how much they hate you, and that, yeah, they're the racists the whole time. They're the problem, not us. We're freaking awesome. So until they can admit this and try to make amends to repair the damage they've done, why would we want to see all this cultural Bolshevism on screen? They've been the problem the whole time. Everything the media pushes is an upside-down narrative. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys all next video.